Up Front with Frank Rothstein on skyscrecentradio.com. Hold on 1 second here. Okay, 1 second. Let me see, 1 second. We're having a bit of a glitch on my end because I'm hearing a little bit of feedback, but okay. Um, it could be, but I'm checking here. I'm sorry, people. Give me 1 minute because normally this doesn't happen. No, I don't have it open. I'm just getting. I'm talking to Jade on the other end. I'm getting the show on a delay. But let me just kill my volume. The hell with it. Normally, I don't really hear myself, but okay, I'm just killing everything. Let me start again. I'll even use a little bit of a fake radio voice today. Welcome to show number 298 of Up Front with Frank Rothstein on skyscrecentradio.com, SKYES. We are broadcasting to you again live on twitch.com or on your app, twitch.tv, same thing. Everybody click on to Skies Crescent Radio and see what's going on. Sitting with me as always, a woman who is inventing all new instruments and how to carry them around town. It is Professor Jade Zabrick. You can find Jade coming up this Friday at the Station House. Is that what you said? The Stage House. And Jade's going to type it into the stream in a couple of seconds, along with her signature howdy. She's working the towns in New Jersey. That's it. She's going to become the New Jersey girl. We're going to get her a Jersey accent. We're going to get her that she can combat our Brooklyn accent, and things are going to go pretty good. And yes, I am still getting some feedback, even though, okay, let's see. Wow, this is one of those days. You know why? Because the system's having a problem. Went from 94 and humid to a nice, cool 74 degrees on my computer thermometer, and that's nice and breezy out. And that's what's going on. Yeah, the Stage House in Somerset, New Jersey, 6 to 9 p.m. She does play those long sets. Wow. Well, we do have a lot going on this week. We'll see if I can get to it all. First thing is we got to do a couple of unfortunate rest in peace pieces. NBA, the great Bill Russell has died at the age of 88. He is the former 11-time NBA champion, and he holds so many different records, but he has died natural causes. I understand. As a kid, he was not just basketball. He was a track and field star in the University of San Francisco. He came up through the ranks of pro basketball, and he just, and he was also, for everybody who doesn't know history, whether it's about someone who's black, female, or anyone else, when you want to know where the firsts come from, see Bill Russell. Besides all the records he set, he was also the first black NBA head coach, because after he retired, he was working, I can tell you, with the Seattle Supersonics. He was the head coach for a lot of places, for a lot of, few teams. He was Sacramento Kings, 87 to 88. As I said, the Supersonics, 73 to 77. He was the first. I can't tell you about the success because I wasn't paying attention to whether he won a championship or not, but he was the first. And again, he was part of the great Boston Celtics of the time, 11-time champion, and I hope he rests well. Also passing this week, of course, I'm sure everyone saw it on the news, but of course I'm going to mention it, is Nichelle Nichols. She was born Grace Dell Nichols. Her stage name became Nichelle Nichols, and you knew her as Lieutenant Uhura on Star Trek. Her name was Nyota Uhura in character on Star Trek. She actually named the character. She took the name Uhura from the Swahili word Uhuru. They had to give the character a name, and they wanted to give it something special, so they asked her to name it. And Uhuru in Swahili means freedom. So she said, well, let's make it more of a feminine, a softer tone. And they put the A at the end, and it became Uhura. And she named the character. Now, why her contribution to firsts, to so many things, is besides being an excellent singer and dancer, and she was all over Broadway at the time, she was a working actress. They got her for this role on television. She took the job. And I think it was into the second season, she's thinking of quitting. And she goes to Gene Roddenberry and she wants out. This story's gotten around plenty of times. And she's at some event, some fan event or whatever the event was. And she's told that one of her biggest fan, one of her most appreciated fans, wants to be here. So she's going to go. Now she goes around the drape, wherever they took her to, into the hallway, and there is staring at her Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who is, of course, greeting her and smiling at her. And he had heard that she wants to leave the show, and he says, "You can't." And she's looking at him. He says, because she didn't understand what she did, what she was doing in terms of being on that show. It wasn't because of the exact role she was playing, because she sat directly behind Captain Kirk. She was the communications officer, which, of course, she's not working every last shift in a 24-hour day. And as you've seen in the old show, there are other people playing communications officers. But that she was there as the first Black woman in television, not playing a servant's role of any kind. She wasn't babysitting kids. She wasn't playing the maid. She wasn't doing anything in a subservient role. She wasn't a servant of any kind. She was the communications officer. And she sat there front and center, right behind the star of the show every time. And from her after her, I should say, from that became the next progression was, well, the first Black woman to be the star of a show. And I believe that was Diane Carroll in Julia. She was the first star. But Nichelle Nichols, going back to another one of her firsts, is famously, she has the first on screen kiss in America with William Shatner. And if you ever saw the episode, it's something, of course, there's like a mind control thing, people working like Romans, and they force a few of the stars to come down to the planet, and they force them by mind control to kiss. Well, the actors had no problem with this. But of course, the networks are worried about it because, sponsors may not like it. They hate it down south, and they wanted the scene to be shot where there was no kissing. Well, they shot it, except William Shatner and Nichelle Nichols were not too crazy about this idea, so they kept on doing the scene over and over in such an unusable way that the studio was forced to keep the kissing scene, which nobody complained about in the long run. But after her Star Trek career, besides acting, besides the original series, after that, after she did, of course, other acting and stage and whatever else, but she also worked with NASA. She, after Star Trek, she volunteered her time in a special project with NASA to recruit minority and female personnel for the space agency. That's true. She helped run an organization called Women in Motion. And from that, everybody else was getting into NASA, becoming an astronaut. It was Dr. Sally Ride, Gulam Bluford, Judith Resnick, Dr. Ronald McNair. Everybody, people of color, women, people were now entered into the NASA space program, all because she stayed with Star Trek and she stayed as Lieutenant Uhura. And that is a very big thing. That's bigger than playing a character in a television show. So yes, Nichelle Nichols had a great career. She died of natural causes, as did Bill Russell. I hope they both rest well. And what else is there to be said, right? That's the story. So what else is going on in the world today? Well, this story here You've heard me talk about, Leah Thomas being, trans woman swimming against the college kids. This story came out yesterday. And this is originally from Fox News. I got it in the New York Post, but whether it's in Fox News or anywhere else, this is a story being printed. It says a transgender cheerleader who was born a biological man was kicked out of Texas cheerleading camp and given a criminal citation after allegedly choking a female teammate. And it says in quotation, well, guys, I'm officially retired as a cheerleader as of last night at 5:30 a.m. A girl on the team was being very disrespectful and told me I am a man with a penis and that guys should not be on the team. The cheerleader, Avery Chanel Medlock, wrote her Facebook last week. Okay, I stood up for myself, and she called her mom and dad because she was scared because I stood up for myself. Father said she still has testosterone in her penis, and I will kill anyone who comes after my daughter. Okay, there you go. So pretty much what happened was, as you're hearing this, she choked the teammate. But now, let's see, this looks like a fair-sized kid. I don't know how old you have to be in cheerleading camp. I guess anywhere from high school to college ages, And I'm looking, So she choked out a kid. So pretty much, well, the dad's saying she has testosterone in the penis. So you have a guy just attack the girl and choked her out. That's what you got. Make no mistake. These aren't two little public school kids in the park where kids fight all the time. No, no, no. This is an adult who choked out another kid, another girl in the class, cheerleading camp in the class. And this has become a problem. Well, okay, didn't have final surgery to make the full transformation, but still has testosterone going on. And that is what happened. Well, I'm not sure what Avery's role as a cheerleader would have been, jump around with pom-poms, or I don't know. But somehow, if you're the one picking up the other girls, you're stronger, you're bigger, you can do it, you can easily X out the spot for another girl looking to compete, enter program. Well, anyway, I'm not going to go too much into that, but I am going to say that this is, you want to live your life any way you want, knock yourself out, let your hair grow, wear all the makeup you want, live your life. You want to be called she, go ahead. That's great. But keep your hands to yourself and be aware how you're going to be viewed when certain things go wrong. In this case, it is viewed as a guy choked out a girl. Okay, next. Let me look at my Twitch screen. Let's see. Everybody, please say hello to us. Have a seat. Let us know what your opinion is. You can always write to me at upfrontfrank@gmail.com. You can also write to Jade for her many shows and see if she's for hire. Go to your venue somewhere, a town near you. JadeZabrick@gmail.com. And if you'd like to have a show of your own, write to us at skiescrescentradio@gmail.com and see what happens that way. Okay, well, in no particular order and no particular way of importance, let's just see what else I got here, because I got a lot of things. I know when people normally do podcasts, they talk about a certain subject for X amount of time, and they have a guest and they're talking, and they all sound so. Me, I go back and forth, and I'm talking about things that you may or may not see in the front page of the news. Usually it's, I hope not. So what else is going on? In Manhattan, this came from Saturday's New York Daily News. Manhattan has a lawsuit going on to get rid of outdoor dining, all these little outdoor shacks that are out there. Did you know that this was put into effect as an emergency option during COVID? Couldn't go inside. People wanted to eat out. So the city allowed as an emergency measure to let places build outdoor seating, which you've seen. Some look nicer than others. Usually, they look a little bit shacky, like, almost like a tiki hut, but okay. But now they're all over the place, and they're gigantic, and they block doorways. And unless you're really careful about how you maintain them, like picking up a floorboard once in a while and really cleaning underneath, it's disgusting. The scent. And they're not all covered up at night. The homeless go in there and use it as a bathroom around, between the shacks where there's some privacy. And there's garbage piling up, and there's rodents, and there's vermin, there's rats. Let's face it, that's blatantly what it is. I passed by a restaurant last week, and there was a rat who died, nice and comfortable looking, just between the floorboard of the dining shack and the curb, that 2-inch spot, just laid down and died. And this is what's happening. It's blocking roadways. It's noisy out there. Now, on my block where I live, the noise isn't too bad because there's not too many restaurants on my block. But there are places, wow. I mean, I'm in New York City. If I walk up and down McDougal Street in Greenwich Village, wow. Bad enough that block's like an open toilet anyway. It's an open sewer. But now you have tons of stuff. And I don't know. I can't speak for every restaurant, but when it's time to close down or they don't really need the spot anymore, they don't all break them apart and take their garbage with them. They leave them there because it costs. These things are not cheap. Depending on how you design them, they are not cheap to build. And they're probably not that cheap to take apart and cart away the trash, the wood, the glass, or the plastic. And yeah, they're just left behind. And they use the storage units for all the restaurant's tables. They're just not what they're meant to be. And now there's, like I said, a lawsuit, an 8-page filing at the state Supreme Court, the New York City court. People want to get rid of them. I don't blame them. I want to get rid of them. So whenever you hear people saying, I want New York to go back the way it was, start with the outdoor dining shacks. They're filthy. They're all disgusting. Even the better restaurants, pay more attention, but you're talking about a handful. Most of it, anyway, so that's what's going on with that. I'm going to keep track of that story because I find it to be curious. How about by your house? I don't know where you live, but how about by your house? Any open dining spots that look pretty nasty? If you're in the smaller areas, I'm sure it's kept cleaner. It's not as busy. By the way, picture behind me, that's Coney Island at sunset. That was taken, about a week and a half ago by someone I knew as a kid. And she posted it on her Facebook page, so I borrowed it. And that is sunset in Coney Island facing west. And if you look in the very back, very, very back, you'll see where the water bends. That's the inlet going into Manhattan. Because if you look over the other shoulder, you're going into the Atlantic Ocean. The landmass behind me, or behind that, is Staten Island. But generally speaking, it's just a nice picture. At least I think so. Back to speaking of New York and back to New York, I guess there are plans people trying to put casinos into New York City. Yeah, that's what I've been reading about. Plans for casinos in New York City. You know how much we need that. They'll be putting up those nice big glass buildings, making a casino out just to take your money. Don't know what the rents will be, where they're going to put it, probably in the Times Square area or anywhere else that needs to be developed. And keep track of that. Casinos coming to a Manhattan near you. Speaking of casinos, did anybody check out this week the flooding, actually from Friday, the flooding in Las Vegas? That's sort of like an unheard of thing. I mean, I've been to Vegas in the rain. It can get ugly out there. And it's like a violent rain. You might as well stand under a waterfall directly in the water path of a waterfall. And it's violent and it's bad. And Las Vegas flooded. The Bellagio Hotel flooded. A lot of places flooded. Um, yeah, I couldn't believe it when I saw some of the footage. Forget about the smaller places. This is not a city designed for flooding. It's the desert. You get an occasional rain, but that's bad. But it's not this, and it's incredible because Lake Mead is drying out. I mean, a lot of the rivers out in the West are starting to dry out. Colorado River is suffering. Lake Mead is suffering. All of a sudden, the sky opened up. I don't know what relief it gave to the rivers, but the streets, wow. And I'm sure by now a lot of it's dried and they're getting some damage. I don't know how bad the damage is, but yeah, the Las Vegas Strip got hammered. Oh, yes. Wow. Uh, that's something you don't see too often. Oh, well. Um, right. Let me clear off the screen here. It's been now, it's an odd one. It really is an odd one. I got to tell you. Let's see what else over here. There is, wait, let me get, I'm looking at this on my Facebook page. Speaking of an odd one, and that's because there was a study, and it seems that I was talking to my mom the other day, and she noticed that it got darker earlier. And there was a study, and they realized that scientists are baffled as the Earth spins faster than usual. Got it? Earth is spinning faster than usual. It says on June 29th, the Earth's full rotation took 1.59 milliseconds less than 24 hours. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot of time. I'm using the word milliseconds. But in terms of Earth spinning, it's considerable. Well, things change. Yes, things do change. Earth is doing things different. Not much we can do to stop it. But yes, the Earth is doing a few things different. So yeah, as you can see, weather patterns are changing. The rains where it used to be not so terrible, like Nevada, are really bad. New York is getting, when it rains, it's worse than usual. It's going to be raining. I can see the clouds now. It's going to be raining either later on tonight or tomorrow. But the rain's more like, almost feel like tropical than city rain. And yes, things are changing. So, what can you do, right? What can you do? Forgive me for not being as smooth as usual. If I'm ever smooth, because I didn't list my stories in order, which I usually do. So let me clear out this, and I'll clear out that. There we go. Let's get to a really important story and a good story. I got this from NBC News Network, the news website, their network website. It says world's first HIV positive to HIV positive heart transplant was performed at New York City Hospital. It says a patient, a woman in her 60s, had the procedure done in early spring at Montefiore Health System in the Bronx. I think that's great. The New York City Hospital performed the world's first HIV positive heart transplant. As I don't know why people put up headlines and then give you the first paragraph the same exact way. Dr. Ulrich George, with the Division of Cardiology at Montefiore and the Professor of Medicine at Albert Einstein College of Medicine, called the procedure a milestone in history of organ donation. Well, it is, and for many reasons. Thanks to significant medical advances, people living with HIV are able to control the disease so well that they are now able, they can now save lives. All right, I think that's fantastic. What it also does is, because the way medical advancements are being made, is stigma is not like it used to be. It used to be if someone had AIDS and they even lived down the block, you wanted them to move a block further away. Um, Now, heart transplants are being done. I was reading not long ago, there's a possible fifth person cured of the condition, of the disease. Uh, Things are changing. I think that's great. heart-to-heart transplant from one HIV positive patient to another. Spectacular. Sorry for the person who died, of course, but that somebody is eligible and not just written off because they have this condition. I think that in a larger scope is even bigger. And while this person was getting the lucky heart transplant, they also had a kidney, I think a kidney transplant. There was just a lot, this is a very sick person, there's a lot going on. So anyway, I think that is something to celebrate. One story, well, yeah, one story I didn't, I didn't get to read it last week. Well, as we all know, last month, we're all talking about women's rights and abortions and, Texas law, which allows anybody to call and complain and have you arrested if you're performing an abortion, if you're getting it. Well, Governor Gavin Newsom in California signed the law that allows private citizens to bring civil action against anyone who manufactures, distributes, transports, or imports assault weapons or ghost guns, which are banned in the state. The California Senate Bill 1327 is modeled after a Texas law that allows private citizens to bring civil litigation against abortion providers and anyone who assists a pregnant person obtaining an abortion. Okay, we got that. That's as early as 6 weeks. We know what that is. This law was written for firearms. Well, if you're against this law, but you were for the other one, too bad. Too bad. You will be tried. You will be sued. The person selling it to you could be arrested. It's the same thing. If you're for one but against, if you're for one but against this one, too bad. Now, I don't like the idea of turning the entire world into informants. Of course not. But I guess what's good for one is good for the other. And certainly the people with the guns are the ones running into schools, restaurants, churches, malls, restaurants, markets, anywhere else you could think of, and just opening fire. So let's see what happens with that. That's what's going on in California. I'm sure the governor is not exactly liked right now. Next up, what is this? Back into New York City, there was this came up from July 26th. It's the New York City system of justice in bail is sort of, let's be kind and say, odd as of late. I'm looking at a story of a 16-year-old kid who wanted to beat the fare, just hop over or go under the turnstile, or maybe get someone to open the gate and they walk right through. But anyway, caught by cops and going to be either ticketed or arrested, whatever. Anyway, this is a 16-year-old kid who just got violent and started swinging at the cops. And I mean, in the end, they got the kid, but this wasn't easy. I'm watching the video. This kid, the girlfriend started throwing punches, girlfriend, sister, whoever this was with this guy. And, one of the cops in the headlock and got him on the floor, and then another one came over to help. But what's odd about this, there was no bail. He was released a few hours later. Yeah, an hour or two later. And one thing cops don't carry anymore, nightsticks. So how are they going to subdue you right away has changed. Matter of fact, because everybody has a cell phone camera, and cops don't want to sit there, after editing and look bad after editing and lose their jobs and get sued and all that. I don't blame them. So a lot of things go by let's say unattended. In this case, they got a kid and he's starting to swing and whatever. He finally got arrested, but no bail, no nothing. Anyway, so that to me is sort of, wrong. You can do whatever you want. People get hurt in the subways all the time. I mean, it was never the safest of all places. It was getting better, And certainly since it was Mayor de Blasio got rid of bail in New York City. And of course, the Attorney General didn't help anything along. And now, the state Attorney General, and now this is what goes on. Anybody can do whatever they want, hurt anybody they want. Not a problem. And there are some that, this is a fair beating thing. It's a common thing in the subway. Sometimes you get caught, sometimes you don't. We know that. But there are some crimes where, somebody just walks up to you and whatever. They do whatever. There are some, I've been fortunate. Not many people walk up to me. I'm a fair-sized guy. I'm fortunate that way. Maybe my luck will run out one day, but I've been okay so far. But there are some people who just look like easier targets. And what the hell? Do the crime. There will be no time for it. There'll be no real, just don't kill them. You'll be, don't set the train on fire. Things like that. Don't set off a bomb. What else is going on the trains? Nothing good. So yeah, the crime rate in the trains is no bargain these days. Please be careful when going in. What else is going on in New York City? Congestion pricing toll plan. It's coming. If you are entering Manhattan, Lower Manhattan, below 60th Street in New York City, you will be charged a toll electronically. Keep that in mind, a toll. You will have the toll of entering by using the tunnels. You will have a toll for cutting into the city, a $16 toll, by the way. I'm not sure exactly what the plan is if you live in Manhattan. I am sure that people who live here will be issued a pass of sorts. I hope. But yeah, if you're someone who has to make a few trips in and out of Manhattan, you could be banged out pretty good. Yeah. At $16 a trip. Anyway, be aware, keep track, see what's going on, right? We check in, see, we have a quiet day today in our stream. That's okay. Someone's going to hear me out here. They'll be hearing me on YouTube later on when the show goes up there. We share it later on to YouTube. It is being broadcast live as we share it to Facebook, and so on and so on. Yeah. What can you do, right? Okay, let's get to some of the other stories that may annoy people even more than anything important. Inflation is hitting all over the place, and if you like to go to the New York City bodega for your bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich, the price has gone up. The average price that was $2.50 is now $4.50. Well, that may sound like a lot, and by I guess percentage-wise, yeah. But you're still eating breakfast for under $5. Well, actually, no, you're going to get your coffee with it, or soda, or whatever, your water. So it'll probably be closer to 7. But yeah, it has gone up just under 100%. Yeah, it is a lot. It is. That's one thing to consider when you go for breakfast. Okay, what else is going on before I get to a story that pissed me off this week? Okay, what is this? Speaking of food, I got this today. This was a travel story. A passenger was fined $1,874 after 2 undeclared McMuffins were found in luggage. Okay, a passenger traveling from Bali, Indonesia to Australia has found themselves paying a hefty price for McDonald's breakfast. An unnamed traveler was handed a fine of 2,664 Australian dollars or 1,874 United States dollars after 2 undeclared egg and beef sausage McMuffins and the ham croissant, nasty, were found in their luggage arriving at Darwin Airport in the country's Northern Territory last week. Well, somehow when you get the word Darwin involved, I know there's something stupid going on. like smuggling a McMuffin in your luggage. Yeah, it says the incident came about days after Australian authorities brought in tough new biosecurity rules after a foot and mouth disease outbreak in Indonesia spread to Bali. Bali's a beautiful island, by the way. I've been there. It really is an incredible island. If you ever get a chance, take a look. What else are they saying here? Australia's Department of Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry said a range of undeclared risk products, including food items, were detected in the passenger's rucksack, their backpack, and biosecurity detected dog named Zinta. the, the flight from Bali to Australia is approximately 3 hours. If you're in the east coast of New York City, it's like flying to Puerto Rico, about 3 hours. Okay. You don't want to eat airport food, that's great. Airline food, stop in the airport and pick up a snack or eat something before you get on the plane. It's not that long of a flight. What are they doing? Who smuggles McDonald's into a country? And it's not like you're smuggling in 1,000 burgers for every. No, you're bringing in two, you slob. Oh, that could stink up the car, the overhead. Oh, nasty. And that was an expensive price. Good example to set because because people are stupid. I say people are stupid all the time. You've heard me say it. Here, let me get to another stupid one over here. This one came out, and I like this. I missed it. It was on March 29th, but I didn't see this right away. But that's okay. Probably you didn't either. The headline is Best Man Steals Bride from Groom After Confessing Love at his wedding speech. In his wedding speech. Okay. It says first comes love, then comes marriage, then comes best man to steal the bride away from the groom at the wedding. Is that in form of a question? Well, that's what happened for Desiree White, who ultimately divorced her husband to marry her lifelong friend and best man at her wedding, Bryant, after he confessed his undying love for her while toasting the nuptials to his then best friend. Said, I remember the first moment I saw Desiree. I loved her. I fell in love with her. I knew she had to be mine. I thought she was the most beautiful person I've ever seen in my life. White from Illinois told Kentucky News and Media of Bryant's best man speech during her 2010 matrimony. So it's an old story they brought up. Okay, so let me see what this means here. This guy kept his mouth shut. The couple is dating. The couple's going through their romance. The couple gets engaged. It's probably an engagement party. He's invited to a wedding. Looks like he bought himself a so-so black suit with it looks like a mint green tie. All right. She looks to be smiling while he's talking. The photo of him is blurred out, but his head's clearly down. And sorry to use this word on the air, people, but this scumbag did this at the wedding. So you didn't profess your true feelings before the wedding, and this looks like a fair size. I don't know how big this room is, but it doesn't look like it happened in a backyard wedding. So he let whoever paid for this spend all kinds of money just to put on this whole song and dance at the wedding, after the services, after everything. And to my experience, you lose them the way you get them. I don't know if they're still married or not. I can't imagine it. But if they are, whatever. So anyway, I assume they are. Well, okay, listen. I'm guessing they are, but okay, this is it. I guess she's out of best friends. So there you go. Remember this, people. Write this down. You got a pen? Your enemies cannot betray you. You got it? Your enemies cannot betray you. Keep that in mind at all times. Before I get to the story that pissed me off enough, letting you know that in today's news headlines, Iran is vowing to build nukes if provoked and to turn New York into hellish ruins. Well, there goes Iran, talking it over, planning their hellish ruin attack if necessary. And that's going to happen if the U.S. or a Zionist regime make any stupid mistakes. Well, the U.S. or a Zionist regime is the United States or Israel. I promise you their missile will be blocked, and either the United States or Israel, or maybe a combo of both, will smack the crap out of Iran if they ever launch a nuke in anyone's direction, especially. Don't launch anywhere in this direction. There's no especially. Let me take that one back. Keep your mouth shut. Don't build it. You want to build it good. Build it and keep it in your basement where it belongs. Don't make any stupid mistakes. Okay, what else is going on here? Hershey's chocolate is now telling people they will not be able to meet up with their candy demands for Halloween. Yes, we're just started August, and Hershey's knows they cannot keep up with the demands for their Halloween. Well, I guess that goes along with the shortages of everything else in the world. The Hershey's manufacturing company said it began in April to stockpile Hershey bars, Kisses, Kit Kats, Reese's peanut butter cups, Twizzlers, and York peppermint patties to prepare for the crucial Halloween and holiday seasons. And we were really producing. The problem is that Hershey makes seasonal candies and all year-round products on the same manufacturing equipment. Demand for sweets in general have exceeded the company's expectations. So again, okay, let's get it. They are not prepared for the demand. It's Hershey's. How could you not be prepared for a demand? Holy crap. So anyway, there's maybe a problem. I guess you'll be looking at other candies. That's okay. There's plenty of them. Give the kids M&Ms. They just want some, they just want whatever they want. All right, the story that I got this from NBC News. This is about a TikTok broadcaster, content provider, probably thinks she's an influencer. It says a Mexican-American TikToker wanted to make a point about culinary appropriation, so she made sausage tacos. This is Daniela Rabelais, if I'm pronouncing that right, Rabalais, Rabelais. She went viral after her showcased new creation in a TikTok video, which racked up at the time 2.8 million views, and that comes from July 28th. So she took what she called a sausage taco. And this is pretty much, she just adjusted some words, put a hot dog in a bun, like a piece of sausage instead of a hot dog. The taco shell was a hot dog bun. Gave the mayo, mustard, and ketchup, I guess the way she likes to eat it, called it some other sauce, some Latin-sounding sauce, and called it a sausage taco. And then, of course, said, and I quote, her video, which shows viewers how she came up with sausage tacos, has racked up 2.8 million views since she posted on July 22nd. The caption reads, if Black, Indigenous, and people of color appropriated foods like white people do to our cultural foods. So, okay, this became about white people and cultural foods. Well, then, I must be culinarily appropriating everything because I grew up eating Chinese food, Italian food. I've cooked Italian food. I've made a few dishes in Chinese food. I love it. I love Spanish food. I love Jamaican food. I don't know what white food is. Excuse me. Every restaurant has a pasta dish. Um, um, all I can say is, if that's the case, and by the way, the hot dog is historically a Jewish food. Just so you know, the sandwich came, I believe, I have to look that up, but I know it's not. It's not American. It's actually came from very early up. But okay, I'll check that out also. Um, she used the hashtag cultural appropriation in her caption, but with what she's drawing attention to is what many have described as culinary appropriation, which refers to when white people take culinary ideas like cuisines and recipes from minority or marginalized groups and rebrand them under new names. Uh, because that's it. From now on, that's it. From now on, the only two groups that can eat corned beef are the Jewish people and the Irish who do St. Patrick's Day. That's it. There will be no more pastrami for this girl. If she likes pastrami, no more pastrami. There is no more. I am not. That means I cannot. I could never become a partner in a restaurant of something other than who I basically am, because I will be appropriating food. That means if I want to open up a taco stand, open up a Chinese restaurant, open up an Italian restaurant, if I want to have a food truck that serves a mix of all of them, I guess I'm white. I can't do that. Now, I don't know what a white food is. I really don't know. A grilled cheese? Could that be it? Because I've gone to many restaurants owned by many different people, many different styles, and I see a lot of similar foods. I really do. I wouldn't even begin to know how to address this, because what is white food? If I'm limited, if I cannot have the supposed your food, what is white food? If I want to serve macaroni and cheese in a restaurant, which a lot of people do, that's pasta. That's Italian. That was created by, I believe, the Chinese. That's pasta, noodles, whatever. What can I serve? What can I enjoy that's not offensive to everybody else in the world? That's what I want to know. Am I allowed to eat fish? Which type of fish am I allowed to eat? What kind of an omelet can I have? If I live in the East, can I have a Western omelet? Can I have a Spanish omelet? What can I do? If an omelet, if bacon and eggs is inherently American, the all-American breakfast, supposedly, when I go to a Chinese stand and they're serving me eggs over rice with shrimp and whatever, or whatever they're serving me, are they culturally appropriating? If I go overseas to a country, I was in Thailand where they were serving pizza, is that culinary appropriation of whose culture and who's getting the payment on this? Who's collecting the vig on this one? Because this is just ridiculous. It's culinary appropriation. So please write me up a list in my email, upfrontfrank@gmail.com, and tell me what I can eat from now on. Maybe I'll lose a little more weight than I already have. I'll be so limited. I mean, let's face it. Oranges, we think of Florida. I live in New York. Can I serve oranges under any kind of a drink name, any food name? Wine from all over. I mean, if from all over the world, whether it's Italian, from out of California. Actually, who has the rights to wine? There's a whole big Napa Valley in California in America, but there's wine in France. There's wine in Italy. So who has the rights to wine? Coffee. Who has the rights? I mean, I'm a Brooklyn-born American Jew. If I open a place and want to serve espresso, am I doing a culinary appropriation? I mean, I can go on with this all day and night, but yes, culinary people enjoying foods around the world and flavors around the world. That should be. I keep saying it. Inclusion leads to exclusion. Exclusion should not be in food. That is the place where we should all get along. And everybody, like the holiday of Thanksgiving, everybody bring a dish, everybody take a taste and enjoy what you're eating and enjoy somebody else's cooking. Why do you think people enjoy going to other countries and they're enjoying it? They're eating it, trying something different. They're doing something different. Maybe they're learning something. And if they change the name of it a little bit to adjust the name, so what? So what? You know, be happy. I mean, be happy that I get this 20 whatever year old kid calling everybody culinary appropriation. So she changed all the words in a comical way and said, we're white people. Again, this white people crap. Someone send me a list of what white people can have. Is it peanut butter and jelly? Am I limited to peanut butter and jelly or a burger? Does that mean that no other country can serve a burger? Am I not allowed French pastries? Can I not import them? Can I not change the name? Can I not? What can I do if I make up my own recipe and I tweak the recipe just a little bit and I change the name on it? That's what I want to know. Enough. Inclusion does not mean exclusion. Stop excluding. You're not helping an existing problem. You're furthering it. You are hurting it. You're not. This is not a cure. Yes, and if I want to have a hot dog and I want to call it a ruler, I will do that. I will do whatever the hell I want to do it when I call it French fries, even though in Brooklyn and Old Coney Island they used to be called potato chips because they're cut in little circles. They were chips, even though they're French fries. They're just turned into a different shape. Potato, oil, salt, pepper, French fries. And that is the story. And my last bit of stupidity is from the IFL Science website, 40% of American kids think hot dogs and bacon are plants. Well, there you go. That's because everyone's in ages 4 to 7 year old children. It's because everybody is into plant-based foods. So they think that burgers and bacon come from plants. Show me what tree to water. And change it a different name and culinarily appropriate it because I want to see how you do that one. Plants. That's a story. Everyone, this show has been interesting enough. We talked about a lot. We lost a few good people. We discovered a few stupid people. And again, stop excluding. I want to eat your food. I want to sing your song. And I want you to sing it with me and dine with me. That's all I got to say. Everyone, I will see you next week. Show number 299. Not sure what the plan is for this, but we will come up with something. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. I will talk to you next week. Have a good night.